Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Quite a few here on Rumble. Not really. Just kidding. But thanks for those of you that are here. Hopefully more will come in later. But tonight I wanted to discuss what's going on in the United States right now, more in particular about the invasion that's going on that is seemingly being ignored, really just not paid attention to by most people, except those who watch this show and watch other shows that are either on X or Rumble and really paying attention to this invasion that's happening, this orchestrated invasion. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into the Putin situation and talk about that. So I'm going to talk about the Haitian invasion, and so I'm going to get more specifically the Haitians and what's happening with animals in Springfield, and kind of a little bit of a history on Haiti and why we should be so concerned. And I'm talking like very concerned. And why it's not a good idea for people to ignore it. But then, I'm going to get into the Putin thing. I was going to read from Profiles in Corruption from Peter Schweitzer's book. I did that last night. I am trying to figure out a daily or a weekly day to be streaming. I think Thursday was unfortunately going to be difficult due to work situations. So I'm going to try and figure out a different night. Most likely, I'm thinking maybe Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I know it's not consistent. It's somewhat random, but I can only do what I can do based on the work schedule that I have. You can support the channel by going to superchatme.com. I'll take you to Streamlabs, where you can donate there. Definitely share the stream if you can. Those of you that are on YouTube, I recommend also following me on Rumble as well at rumble.com/Dennis Hendrickson. And the purpose really of me being here is to talk about stuff that you don't see on the mainstream media. It's kind of my own thought process on what's going on in the world and why I think, unfortunately, a lot of people, including those talking heads that you see that are on the right, are not really paying attention to this as closely as they should, especially with what's going on with this Haitian migrant violence. You're really only going to see the horrific violence to animals on X. I don't think you're going to see it really anywhere else. You're certainly not going to see it on YouTube because they're going to hide it. YouTube is a criminal organization. It is a mafia. It is a violent, no different than the Italian mob, no different than any other criminal organization. And that is why I try to do the best I can to get people off of YouTube and onto Rumble, or onto X more specifically. Rumble, I think, is going to have its own issues because it's publicly traded. I think because X is privately owned, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get X to bend, but they might. And I'm not so sure they're all that free anyway. But this thing that's going on in Ohio is extremely disturbing, because now what's happening is we're in a different phase now than where we were before. And that phase now is, we have to call it for what it is. This is an invasion of human beings that are not soldiers, but a replacement of soldiers. And so what's happening is they're being bussed in, flown in, helped in by the Biden-Harris administration on purpose, because they are communists. And what they are trying to do is they are trying to destroy the country internally by bringing in these migrants. And there are a number of things to be concerned about. This thing now, I think, is finally getting people's attention, because innocent kittens are being slaughtered and tortured by these animals that have come here from Haiti. These are people, and I use that term loosely, that come to this country and are devil worshippers and prey on the weak because they themselves are weak. They're very low IQ. And you can see, based on what's happening in the world, and of course the left is denying it, but this is typical. It's a typical reaction and a typical playbook strategy on their part to try and deny what's really going on. And I'll read from a book called A Look Inside the Playbook, How Marxists Plan to Destroy America. It is literally the playbook that the Soviet communists used in order to, and they still do. The playbook is exactly the same, in modern days. This was written back in the 60s. It translates to exactly what's happening right now. I mean, it is word by word. I mean, you read the book, it'll blow your mind, because exactly what is happening today, right now, is in the Soviet communist playbook, in this book that I just mentioned. And what's really concerning now is like I was saying before, that this is an invasion in the country. It's going to get a lot worse, because this phase now is these people that are coming in and killing animals. The next logical step and obvious step that's going to happen is now they're going to be killing human beings. And of course they're going to prey on the weak, because that's what they do. They prey on the weak because they're low IQ animals. So what they do is they're not going to pick on anything or anybody that can fight against them. So the next thing is going to be your children. And what amazes me is how people can just kind of walk around and worry about when their next meeting is going to be, and when the next ball game is going to be, what sports ball thing is going on, what vacation they're going to take next. And meanwhile, we have people that are coming in that are literal cannibals that at some point are going to start eating people. It's just a matter of time. Their history is extremely violent, going back to the late 1700s, and I'll go into that as well. But we have this causal illiteracy that goes on with the left, who completely ignore what's happening. This cognitive dissonance where it's too uncomfortable for them to realize that the family pets are being executed and tortured and murdered, and their blood being drank by these cannibal devil worshippers. So what do? They hide under the covers like a child. And then they'll still continue to vote for Biden or Harris, even though this has been orchestrated by their government. I mean, this is in Mayorkas as well. This is them doing this on purpose, the left, who they vote for, who they voted for. So those who voted for Biden voted for this. And now they're going to hide under the covers and hope that it goes away. So I hope you understand that those who are liberals and those of you who do see this now live and then later after it's recorded, I certainly hope that those of you talk to your families go, I hope you realize something, that it's just not the family pet that's at risk, but your children are at risk, your grandchildren are at risk. You are at risk, and not just from violence directly, but also from the standpoint of these immigrants, not only the Haitians, but all of them that are coming in here. This is what concerns me the most, is that these people use the emergency room as their doctor's office. So when you start having more violence, if you have an issue, you need to go to the hospital, you need to get medical care, urgent medical care. What's going to happen? You either wait 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours to get care. I've seen how waiting in an emergency room on many occasions, that minutes or even hours or can mean life and death. If somebody has an infection or if they have cancer, because obviously we see a huge increase in cancer, which is a whole different subject to get into. And not only are these Haitian immigrants eating people's animals, but then they're getting into cars. This is the other thing. The same people who have this causal illiteracy, and what I mean by the causal illiteracy, these are people who they don't understand where groceries come from. If you ask them where groceries come from, they'll tell you that it comes from the grocery store. They won't tell you because they can't. They don't know what a supply chain is. They have no idea where food originates from. So when you see these food manufacturing plants being burned down and cows being, these farms being taken over, farms being lit on fire, the cow farms, things like that, they can't put two and two together and understand, well, that's going to affect food prices. And they certainly don't understand where that food comes from. So this causal illiteracy essentially is they don't understand cause and effect. They don't understand why things are happening the way they're happening. So for them, it's really only about Donald Trump and how much they hate him. But if you were to say, hey, look, this is everything that's happening with these immigrants that are coming in, this has been done on purpose. They are letting this happen. Those people who voted for this have this causal blindness. They don't understand that, okay, the cause of all this stuff that's been going on is because of the Biden administration. Even Trump asked during the debate, would you shut the border down now? And Harris didn't have an answer. So we're all in real serious danger because the other thing that they don't understand, and these are the ones, and I'm talking about the ones that are actually causing this issue, the ones that have voted for, and the one that voted for this, and the ones who are running the country right now, they don't understand the consequences of what they're doing. They think somehow by destroying the country they can build it back up again, and it's just not going to happen that way. And people are, Gold's Nugget, yeah, people are brainwashed. That's part of, and you was saying that earlier, is that when there's plenty anecdotal evidence of what's going on with these Haitians that are eating cats and carrying around birds and walking up and down the street. And then the left media, who's part of this entire thing as well, says, oh, well, that's not happening. And then these people with the causal illiteracy say, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Once again, pull the cover over their head to stay away from the monster. Somehow that's going to protect them from it. But sooner or later, like I said, these people, it's amazing to me because they just don't care about their own children, obviously, because that's who they're coming for. And yes, Bethany, they are replacing us, but I think really what's going to happen is that including them, they're here because sooner or later they're going to murder all of us. And I'm going to go into that in a minute. This is why the Haitian invasion is important, because from a historical perspective. But what's going to happen is that they're going to come in, they're going to eat us and kill us all. Because this is what happened in the Bolshevik Revolution. This is what happened with Mao and Stalin and Lenin. Everybody starved to death, and people just started eating each other. Cannibalism was rampant during the Bolshevik Revolution, during the Communist Revolution. And you can just see it's repeating again. So between 1791 and 1804, there was a mass killing of all of the white people in Haiti. And this occurred early 1804 under the leadership of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who became the first ruler of independent Haiti after the revolution. He ordered the massacre as a way to prevent the return of French rule and solidify the revolution's success. The killings took place mainly between February and April of 1804, targeting white French people on the island, particularly those who remained after the revolution. So they went after everyone that was white, and killed everybody that was white. They have a history of this. And ever since then, look at how that country is. It's a complete disaster. It's literally hell. And now they're coming to the United States. So like I said, it's only going to get worse. You're going to start seeing more and more of these stories, and you're going to hear more and more of these denials. And so, and by the way, I forgot to mention at 10 o'clock, Trump's going to be speaking. I might show that. I'm not sure, but depending on the time. But he is actually in Las Vegas tonight. But what's going to happen is, these Haitians are going to graduate to eating your kids. I mean, this is what they do in their own country. They sacrifice animals. They do these horrible things to animals, and they also do it to other people. And this is by design. This is why the Harris administration, or Biden-Harris administration, is bringing these people in, is to weaken the border and destroy the country and bring in a communist revolution. And I'll read real quick from a look inside the playbook, how Marxists plan to destroy America. It says, our enemy cannot be defeated as long as its borders and Anglo-European dominated culture remain intact. Our leaders recognized early on that one of the best ways to destroy our enemy is to encourage other less evolved cultures to infiltrate our enemy's country in the form of non-assimilating immigrants. The key to our success is non-assimilating immigrants. We must make sure the floodgates are open to non-assimilating immigrants by discouraging circumventing the need for immigrants to go through the legal requirements of becoming a U.S. citizen. Keep in mind, this is written back in, decades ago under Soviet communism. And this is exactly what we're seeing today. Legal immigrants, especially from non-third world countries, this is important, who share our enemies, which they're talking about the United States, religious and philosophical ideals, are dangerous to our movement because more often than not, these new citizens have a burning desire to become Americans. That's why there's so many people who are legal immigrants who are obviously upset by all of this, because they not only came in legally, but those people who have come in legally follow the law and have the same ideals as all of us. Remember, willing converts are usually the most dogmatic members of a religion. Many non-third world immigrants have a work ethic and moral fiber that are synchronous with traditional American values. This is what they hate. These cultures emphasize merit, industry, and personal responsibility, the complete opposite of what communists want. So be careful and realize that not all immigrants are created equal. And I don't think that's discussed enough. Because once again, immigration is talked as if, oh, we have this crisis. It's not a crisis. It's an invasion. It's a orchestrated takeover of the United States. And there should be a differentiation between those who come here legally and those who don't. Those who don't are the ones that we're dealing with right now that are eating the throats of cats. Promote illegal immigration whenever you can, and you will discourage legal immigration at the same time. You will flood our enemy with people who will vote for us because they will conclude we are on their side. We are witnessing that right now. They're trying to turn them into voters. They're giving them driver's licenses. These Haitians are also getting cars. One thing I didn't mention before is not only are they doing what they're doing to animals, but they're slamming their cars into trees, into other people, running people over and killing them. And there are people in Springfield that cannot get insurance because the insurance is so high because of all the accidents in that area. So now everybody has to pay for it. So not only are their pets in danger, not only are their lives in danger, but now they can't get car insurance. And somehow they're getting driver's licenses. And somehow they're getting automobiles. And when I looked into it, you don't have to be a legal citizen to purchase an automobile. Not sure how they're getting insurance, but there should be an investigation into these insurance companies that are providing insurance for non-residents. Or illegal immigrants is what they are. We shall demonstrate solidarity with non-assimilating immigrants. We see that across the board. People like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. How many of them cry for these illegals? Supporting public welfare, the creation of sanctuary cities, and by quietly funding and backing jingoistic movements like La Raza, Aztlan, Reconquista, and Islamic immigration. So you see with the public welfare, how many millions of dollars are being spent per illegal immigrant by New York City, Chicago. They're staying in 5-star hotels being paid for by the taxpayer. We can encourage non-assimilating immigrants to overwhelm our enemies' healthcare and welfare systems. This is where the scary part comes in. We can encourage non-assimilating immigrants to overwhelm our enemies' healthcare and welfare systems. So what I was saying before, they overwhelm the healthcare system. That is going to ultimately kill you. If they don't eat you or kill you or murder you, rape you, run you over with their car that they can't drive, the healthcare system is going to collapse. And God forbid you have an emergency or you're deathly ill, you're sick, whatever, you're done. And so you could bury your head in the sand and worry about all these trivial things that go on and troll on the internet, whatever bullshit you want to do in your life. But people don't understand that this is a war that we're in. We are in a full-blown war. And they're not using guns yet. But everything that they're doing, they have it perfectly designed to kill everyone on the planet. And those that think that they are somehow safe in some way, you're not. Even those that play along with all of this, they're the ones who are going to get taken out first. As more and more third world country immigrants flood into our enemy's country, they will bring with them not only their third world jingoistic culture practices, but their diseases as well. We intend to reacquaint our enemy's healthcare system with once eradicated diseases, while forcing existent citizens to pay for the health care of non-assimilating immigrants. That is exactly what's happening right now. What has Gavin Newsom pushed for? For all of us to pay for their health care. And we're paying for it now. Many, Colorado, I think it was Denver, this was months ago before everything that was going on in Aurora. You have hospitals that are way in the red by hundreds of millions of dollars because they're paying for the people that are coming in. The illegal immigrants aren't paying for the health care. Book goes on to say, the last part, your quote magic mantra will neutralize anyone who dares to argue that borders should be secure as this. You're anti-immigrant, intolerant, and a hater. It works every time. You actually see people that are being interviewed in Ohio that say, I don't want to say anything bad about the Haitian immigrants, but because they have been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed into thinking that if, God forbid, they say anything about these people, that they're going to be labeled a racist. Once again, that is what is in the playbook. That is what they expect you to do. They want you to not say anything because they want you to feel uncomfortable and think that you're a racist if you say anything. But by doing nothing, saying nothing, you're putting the rope around your own neck. And if that wasn't bad enough, it's already 10 o'clock. Trump is not on stage yet. But now we have a situation where we're looking at using, or the United States giving long-range missiles to Ukraine to use against Russia. Which Putin responded to today and basically said, okay, if that's what you want to do, then you're essentially declaring war on me, and now we're going to have World War III. And God only knows what would happen. So here is Keir Starmer, David Lammy, currently sitting with Biden to decide. I don't even know how Biden is even there right now. To decide if British Storm Shadow missiles can be used by Ukraine. A decision that Putin said yesterday would be seen as Russia being at war with NATO. Essentially, these plebs are deciding World War III or not. So here's Putin's response yesterday to this announcement.
В последние дни мы видим и слышим, как на очень высоком уровне в Великобритании и в США муссируется тема о том, что киевский режим сможет наносить удары вглубь территории России западными вооружениями большой дальности. И, судя по всему, это решение либо вот-вот будет принято, либо, судя по всему, вообще уже принято. И эта вещь, конечно, экстраординарная. Хотелось попросить прокомментировать то, что происходит.
Происходит попытка подмены понятий. Потому что речь не идет о разрешении или запрете киевскому режиму наносить удары по российской территории. Он и так наносит с помощью беспилотных летательных аппаратов и другими средствами. Но когда речь идет об использовании высокоточного оружия большой дальности западного производства, это совершенно другая история. Дело в том, что я уже об этом говорил, и любые эксперты это подтвердят, и у нас, и на Западе, наносить удары современными высокоточными системами большой дальности западного производства украинская армия не в состоянии. Она не может этого делать. Это возможно только с использованием разведданных со спутников, которыми Украина не располагает. Это данные только со спутников или Евросоюза, либо на Соединенных Штатах, в общем, с натовских спутников. Это первое. Второе, и очень важное, может быть, ключевое, заключается в том, что полетные задания в эти ракетные системы могут, по сути, вносить только военнослужащие стран НАТО. Украинские военнослужащие делать это не могут. И поэтому речь идет не о том, чтобы разрешать украинскому режиму наносить удары по России этим оружием или не разрешать. Речь идет о том, чтобы принять решение о том, что страны НАТО напрямую участвуют в военном конфликте или нет. Если это решение будет принято, это будет означать не что иное, как прямое участие стран НАТО, Соединенных Штатов, европейских стран в войне на Украине. Это их прямое участие. И это уже, конечно, существенным образом меняет саму суть, саму природу конфликта. Это будет означать, что страны НАТО, США, европейские страны воюют с Россией. А если это так, то, имея в виду изменение самой сути этого конфликта, мы будем принимать соответствующие решения, исходя из тех угроз, которые нам будут создаваться.
So there you have it. For whatever reason, we are all deciding in Britain and the United States, these European nations, NATO nations, that it's a great idea to give long-range missiles that are satellite-driven to Ukraine and hope for the best. And this is what we're dealing with. When you're dealing with people who are communists, and you have dealing with these types of people that are running the country, you're not dealing with intelligent people. You're dealing with sociopaths. And you're dealing with people who have no impulse control. And you're dealing with people who, again, can't really, they have this psychosis that can't see cause and effect. They're the same people who really don't understand where the groceries come from. They don't realize that the more that you push and poke and provoke Vladimir Putin, sooner or later he's going to feel like he's backed into a corner, and then he's going to start launching his own nuclear weapons back at all of us. So it's really amazing the times that we live in now and how everything changed so rapidly right after the election was stolen and Trump was out of office, because we wouldn't be dealing with any of this right now. But I think these people are also accelerationists, and what they're doing is they're trying to work as quickly as they possibly can to try and bring the entire planet to its knees in order to do their build back better bullshit and turn everything into a one world government, but don't realize that everything that they're doing would lead to essentially the death of everyone. And they can't think that far ahead. So that was going to be my show for tonight. And I think what I'm going to do, I will go into profiles in corruption next week on my regular scheduled program. This is just me tonight just deciding at the last second to kind of to go live. I am going to switch over. Kash Patel right now is speaking. I'm going to see if I can play that.
Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser had requested the guard. As Chief of Staff and my Secretary of Defense and Donald Trump's administration would have had 10,000+ guard there, and nothing on January 6th would have went down the way it did. They wanted a political scene so they could run on it. And here's the key about the video, right? That video wasn't made yesterday. It was made on January 6th, and the January 6th committee in Congress withheld that from the American public for 3 years, and they wanted to pin a bogus insurrection narrative on Donald Trump. And so that's why the truth matters now more than anything. It's not the I told you so moment. It's just to say who was telling you the truth and who was lying to you.
I kind of think of it as the Russia hoax, the true. I mean, you go back to the Steele dossier, the militant nature of how the swamp, and in some cases Republicans and Democrats colluding to take down a duly elected president of the United States, and you being at the forefront of so much of this, having served so graciously and being a true American patriot. Kash, can you share with us your fight for free speech as well? How is True Social going? How are all these different things that are coming together in the last few years, really led by this beautiful MAGA movement and such an inspirational leader in Donald Trump? How are we able to, as American people, spread true information and get it out there so we can debunk all these myths, these rumors, and quite frankly, the lawfare up against these wonderful people who are here to see.
Well, one, watch your great network, because you guys are truth tellers. But, you know, look, Donald Trump's brilliance has been to lead all of these issues to intersect, because they do intersect. Free speech march
America's
and
gonna
fighting
be
the
so
deep state in
appalled by
Washington,
it.
D.C. And not
Most
just
likely
Democrats,
it's an
but also
op
Republicans
in order
who want to
to
take
sweep
away
this
our
under the
rights by
rug,
taking
'cause
away
there's
our
absolutely
truth
no
and
way
want to
at all
monopolize the government.
this guy's
And
gonna be
President Trump
doing
has always
something in
stood for
Trump's best
everyday
interest or the
Americans and
American people's
accountability
best
inside
interest.
Washington.
So
And
that's
they are
gonna be
terrified that
interesting
he's
to
going to
see
end
how
his
that
reign.
plays out.
And only Donald Trump could come up with a
they
concept
lie
like
all
Truth
the
Social
time. That's all
and have
they
it
do. They're
explode on the
communists.
scene because, look,
In order to make
everyone's
their
on Truth
system
Social.
work,
Gavin
they
Newsom,
have to
Joe
lie and
Biden,
they have to
Kamala
kill.
Harris, and Donald Trump.
And
There's
that's
no
what
other
they're
social
doing
media
to us now,
platform
and nobody
that has
realizes
that.
it.
And we don't want to
And so
censor anyone.
people
That's
start
the whole
realizing when
point.
their kids
That's why
start
Bill
getting
Maher, that's why Elon Musk,
sacrificed
that's
by
why the
these,
Joe Rogans of the world and
immigrants.
everybody else are saying, yeah,
wholesale.
you guys
I
are
mean,
the
it
only
has to
platform
happen
that didn't
just
hide. Not like
so
Facebook, not like
frequently,
Twitter
and now
before
I think
Elon,
people are waking
and not
up,
like
but not
Instagram
enough.
and all of Mark
Nowhere near
Zuckerberg's
enough
companies.
waking up.
They withheld the truth, and Zuckerberg has admitted it. And he says he's not going to enter the fray now, but I don't trust his millions or tens of thousands of employees. They're the ones that rigged it with the FBI and the Election Integrity Task Force last time around to hide the truth about President Trump. So I'm glad for Truth Social, and I'm glad for courageous media. Listen, your job is probably harder than almost anyone else's except Donald Trump's, because you see it every day, and you guys are showing up every day, so we're really appreciative.
Well, it's an honor to do it, and it's an honor to be up here with great colleagues in the media, and some are coming to the light. We see CNN during the day, at least this past week, kind of debunking these myths, and we had to fact check the fact checkers. I mean, you saw that President Trump, they went after him on at least 5 occasions, if not more, just spreading this misinformation, and he did such a good job considering, I mean, it's 3-on-1, and David Muir, Meg and I have been covering this today, the fact that he opened up with some great questions.
Yeah.
You know, Lindsey Davis, just some great questions, but there wasn't that follow-up. There wasn't like, excuse me, Madam Vice President, you didn't answer the question, which is kind of the journalism 101 to begin with, and you're seeing that more on the conservative so-called side of media, but that's what we're just trying to do.
I don't know what that guy's talking about. David
As you said,
Muir and the
share
other
the
broad.
truth. So what's next for the upcoming administration?
If you
for
ask
Agenda
anyone,
47,
the
we
way
have the
that they
20
were asking
platform
questions to
positions
Trump were
laid out.
accusatory, especially
What do you
when it came to
expect to
January
see when
6th,
it comes to staffing?
and then
And what do you
continue to
expect to
hammer
see
him
with another
about his
debunked myth, but they're
responsibility for
spreading it like
January 6th,
wildfire,
which
pushing back
once
against
again
this
is in their
Project
playbook.
2025, and clearly President
Lindsey
Trump has said,
Davis.
I have nothing to do with it.
Look,
Donald Trump
it's
once
the
again
same
walks
as
into a trap by
everything
having
else.
his debate with
Donald J.
CBS,
Trump has
which is
established
really
a brilliant
stupid.
Trump 47 agenda,
And then he
and
gets
people can go
ambushed.
volunteer at Trump47.com. I was just in North Carolina last night with the great Byron Donalds. We hosted a town hall for the Trump Agenda 47 policy tour. That thing is in full force. We are crisscrossing the country. Everyday Americans are packing the house, not just here in Nevada, but everywhere else we go. And I think I'm going back out to the Midwest next week and wherever they want to send me. But that's our job, because we have the greatest leader setting the agenda, setting the scene. And what we have to do is bring everyday Americans who might have sat out an election, who might have said, it's okay, everybody else is going to do it. Everybody else isn't going to do it. Everybody together is going to do it behind Donald Trump. And I think his Agenda 47 and his policy tour are critical to that. And it shows you that everyday Americans who can actually work in the government to serve exist. And President Trump is going to have a huge bench to select from. But our mission right now is to win every day for the next 53 days and ensure this man goes back to the White House.
And I love that. TrumpForce47.com, TrumpForce47.com, a great way to do that. Cash, is there any way we can follow you, whether it be on Truth or anything else that you want to share with the people at home where they can get involved with the campaign or just generally within the movement?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Truth Social at Cash. And of course, I have my bestseller, Government Gangsters, the book, and we just turned it into a movie. So you can go to warroom.film, and stream Government Gangsters right now. It puts everything together that we've been talking about. But most importantly, it provides solutions to take on the corrupt bureaucracy of Washington, D.C., reform our agencies, and make sure we have a commander-in-chief who has espoused this genius for so many years to have a following of Americans who see it. So check out Government Gangsters at warroom.film and buy a book and send it to Adam Schiff.
I love that. Yeah, he can use some reform, and hopefully he loses it in California. That's a tough one, but Shifty Schiff, Mr. Pencilneck himself, he's such a jerk. But, you know, we like to stay positive on this network as much as possible, and we're spreading that gospel of love, of charity, and these true great policies, Agenda 47 to save America. One of the best, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cash Patel, an American patriot.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for coming on, sir. We look forward to seeing you soon. Safe travels.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Catch you soon. Thank you so much. And that's what it's all about here. at these MAGA rallies. It's charity, it's fun, it's getting together with so many patriots to debunk the myths that have been out there, and so much of it this week. And you heard it from the man himself, Kash Patel, who has done such great work not only in the 45 administration, but also for True Social, the best media app out there. And speaking of a great sponsor that helps us get this information out there, freetrumpbook.com. This is so great to learn about what is the MAGA agenda, what is indoctrination in the media, what is indoctrination in our public schools, what's indoctrination like, my gosh, with our city managers perhaps in Springfield, Ohio. We had a conversation earlier today about the fact that some of these city managers, they don't necessarily like to tell you what's going on out there. And of course we saw that during the debate as well on Tuesday night. But freetrumpbook.com, it's a new guide. It was revamped 2024 at the beginning of 2024 for kids, for our future voters, so they can learn what it's like as preparing to be good, productive citizens, what Donald Trump's policies really were all about. And it especially highlights the broken border, the fentanyl that poured over. Think about Lincoln Riley, the beautiful UGA student, University of Georgia, 22-year-old nursing student. She was jogging just off campus during the day, murdered by an illegal alien in Venezuela. But freetrumpbook.com.
One of the things
Megan, have you shared any of that with your neighbors, maybe freetrumpbook.com? Because I've actually shared some, even though it's a kid's book, with some of my friends who really aren't paying attention.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is all you have to pay is shipping and handling.
Somebody like her is going to use gun
and
control.
It's great readings. It's almost like those dummies books for like, what's wine like for dummies, or serving 101, or anything you can think of. Even like turning on YouTube and like, how do I fix this, this, and this? And that's why the Trump book is so good. freetrumpbook.com. Get the free Trump guide today and go evangelize and share that with the young future voters in your life and in your household. But wow, so excited to see President Trump coming up very soon. As you can see, they actually put up real news articles from different dates. I'm trying to look at the date there, but things when Kamala Harris talks about her race, or when she was the border czar, whatever it might be, stuff they're trying to run away from on the Harris-Walz campaign. It's out there, it's been printed, it's been produced, and you can go find that. So make sure you're an informed voter, get out there, do your research, and don't take it just from our lips to your ears. Get out there and do the research yourself and find out why it's important to be involved, just 53 days away from the most important election in American history.
Yes, and it's interesting to see that news article up that we had on the screens just a moment ago, saying that Kamala Harris was the first Indian American senator, when now she's portraying herself as to be black.
Investigation by the city's Immigrant Accountability
Response Team. Why she was Indian before, but now she's
that may have facilitated the influx of immigrants without properly.
And I think we can hear the magnificent Matthew Alvarez back in studio,
which has strained the city's infrastructure. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, great.
And we have the magnificent Matthew
So
Alvarez. How are you, sir?
Just simple infrastructure.
I am doing well. You know,
But
we
it's
have to come up with
also
the first nickname. So if I'm magnificent Matthew
healthcare
Alvarez, first of all,
systems,
thank you, Bobby.
banking
You are
systems,
the great Bobby
really
McNeely.
everything
Megan, you are wonderful. Megan
ultimately is
Kohler.
going
Does that
to
work
bring
for all three of us?
individual towns and cities to their knees.
I kind of like that. Do you
and
like
destroy
wonderful?
them.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Thank
But you
you.
have to
Of
think
course.
of your kids,
And
and you
Matthew
have to
is
think of your own
our
health.
lead anchor, of course,
said
in
before,
Auburn,
you go to the
Alabama,
hospital and you're
and
gonna
doing
wait 4
amazing
or 5
coverage.
hours,
and
10
always a
hours,
pleasure to be
12
with him
hours, because
in studio. We talk a lot
illegal
about
immigrants use
not
the
only what's
emergency
happening
room
in
as
the
their
current
doctor's
culture
office,
and the
meanwhile, the
downstream
rest of
that
us
is
pay for it
American
all.
politics, but also our college
I mean,
football
we're all
season,
paying for
and the
it.
fact that the Auburn Tigers, they are at home for the next few weeks.
This is
So make sure you
this
can
is
go to
the
a
worst
game if
part
you're
of
in
it all,
the
that people just
SEC. And
don't-
I'm just looking
you
at my
just seem to
watch
just
here.
sit there,
My goodness,
again,
about 10:30,
with
getting
cognitive
close to that
dissonance.
on the East Coast. Hopefully we have some people watching on the
There's
East
no-
Coast, those
no
late
care in the
nighters
world,
for
but
a rally all
they
the
do
way
know who's
in the
playing,
Pacific. But
what teams
Matthew,
are-
a question
what
to
matchup
you.
teams in the
What
NFL
are
are
you
on Sunday?
looking to see from President Trump tonight, as he's been so heavily focused on his West Coast swing regarding not only closing the border, but
I mean,
the no
the-
tax on tips, the no
and then
tax
the-
on
the
the
being afraid of saying,
overtime
oh, well,
pay,
you know, I
the
don't
no
wanna- I don't
tax
wanna talk
on
bad
our
about
senior
them.
citizens and their Social Security, also the issue with home prices.
I don't want to talk bad
How do you
about
think
the,
he will address the
about
wonderful
the Haitian
voters
immigrants.
here in our Silver State?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
shadow
awesome,
banned,
Bobby,
by the way,
because right now we
Offcast. That's
know
why I'm on
heavy
Rumble.
hospitality industry there
I'm
in
on
Las
X,
Vegas. So
BitChute,
tonight, of course, he's
and
going to talk
everywhere else
about the economy,
because
talk about so many
the stuff that I talk
topics
about
that
gets
we
me
all
shadow
have seen
banned.
here at
Actually,
Right Side
I might as well be
Broadcasting
outright
Network. And
banned on
you guys have
YouTube.
brought up some great points as well out there. And I think that obviously he's going to talk about the no tax on tips, the no overtime tax as well, which is awesome because, Bobby, just yesterday in Tucson when you were there, we saw, of course, him proposing that idea. So having the American people in mind, of course, with their financial means and hopefully making America rich and wealthy again. I remember hearing actually someone say, make America rich again the other day in Atlanta, which you don't always hear that one, but hey, we'll take that one too. But I wanted to ask you guys as well, what were some of the highlights earlier today when you guys were outside? Awesome coverage out there from both of you. Megan, let's start with you. Just some of the highlights that you had out there, and then Bobby, you as well.
But yeah,
I was
that
really
is,
excited to see the Korean
you brought up
Alliance
something
for America.
that I wanted to talk
The
about too,
Korean
is
group
here you
outside, they're
have
so passionate, they're so
companies like
patriotic,
YouTube.
and they came out singing. They
And I think I
were
actually
waving
did mention this
flags.
before.
They have
YouTube
signs.
is a
They have
criminal
T-shirts made. They
organization.
come out to all these different
YouTube
events,
is
and you could
not
really
a-
hear their passion when they were singing "God Bless the
a
USA"
legitimate company.
and a few other songs.
It's,
they had
it's a
a
mafia,
lady
it's
doing
a-
taps. She
it's a
was playing
cabal.
taps on her trumpet,
it's
so
a
that was
criminal-
incredible.
it is a
and it's just
criminal
cool to
organization.
see all different
And
backgrounds and
actually just
countries
recently,
represented that are excited
and I
about
might do this over the
movement
weekend, there
and the
was a
MAGA
hidden
Patriots.
camera.
Yeah, no question
deal
about that. It really was
that,
interesting to see
I think
the
it was by,
wide range of ages and backgrounds.
James
We had a
O'Keefe.
lot of people, not only
And
residents of Nevada
An
and Las
employee of
Vegas
Google admitted
proper,
to,
but
of
we
course these guys
also
fall for
had
this shit every single time.
people
They
from
go on
around the
these
West
dates,
Coast. We talked to someone from Salt Lake
and
City.
they get
We
drunk
talked
or
to
whatever,
Vietnam
and then try to
veterans concerned about
impress the,
mental illness
they
and
tell
those
them everything
veterans
that's
who are
going on and
homeless.
say,
We had gentlemen who
yeah,
grew up in the
he
Bronx who
basically
have been
admitted
living
that
out here for
Google
31 years, actually running their own
manipulates the search
gym.
results, they
Brothers
manipulate
who have
everything
been
in order
out
to
here. So that's been interesting to
go
see
against Trump
the
and
history over the last 31 years
help the
of people who have moved
Kamala
out
Harris
to
campaign,
the
or
West
any
for a better
Democratic
way of
campaign,
life,
for
but
that
now
matter.
seeing the cost increase because of Democrat
So, here you
leadership in
have-
Nevada, but also federally. So really them stressing the importance of getting Sam
Yeah.
Brown elected to the United
These
States Senate in
creators-
addition to
and
President
by the
Donald
way,
Trump
it also
serving
makes you
as our
wonder
47th
how
president.
The Tim
And
Pools,
what a
the
powerful speech,
Charlie
as you guys know. We
Kirks,
just saw Sam Brown speak
Candace
earlier
Owens,
today.
who I
know,
think
Megan,
just
you
got
touched on
demonetized.
how important it is to get Sam
a
Brown
lot of
into
these others
office
who
there in Nevada.
seem
But,
to not
just
have any
to give the
real issue when
30,000
it
foot
comes to
view a little
YouTube.
bit.
I have
What does it feel like to be
50,000
there right
followers,
now
and all
in
of a
Las
sudden
Vegas as we
I
await
can't
President
get,
Trump?
I
Megan,
can't
go
get
ahead.
more than 5 people concurrently to watch any
Kind of
live
feels like a rock
video
concert
on,
right
on
now,
YouTube.
especially. But these people are so
So,
excited.
and it's well known
People
that if
have
you're
been
small
lining up
enough,
since
then,
last night. We talked to a few people that
no
camped
one's
out
gonna really
overnight, got here at 10
notice
p.m.
as
last
much
night,
if you're
or
banned
first thing in the
outright
morning. They got
shattering.
here really
I hate
early
to use
this
the word
morning.
shadow banned,
The
but it's more
crowd
like
is
outright banned.
overflowing in
But
this
those
place. There's
aren't
not
gonna
an
have a
empty
big
seat in
enough
the
audience
house.
to
We have
make-
overflow, people standing
waves, but
in the standing room
a
here.
larger-
People are really
larger
excited and they're
audiences,
chanting,
if they did
they're
that, would have
singing,
more of an issue.
they're chanting, "We want Trump." They're chanting MAGA.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
actually
it's-
heard a song earlier.
this is
Someone
how-
made
this is how
a
bad these scumbags
YMCA, but a MAGA
I mean,
version.
they're outright
so
trying to kill
MAGA
all of
instead
us,
of YMCA.
especially white
so people are really enthusiastic.
And so
we're seeing people
YouTube,
from all
the criminal
different walks of
organization
life,
that it
all
is
different
doing everything
backgrounds,
they
and it's
can to
really cool
silence
that they're all
conservative
here
voices.
for the same
And they're
mission
trying to do everything
to
they
make
can.
America
I mean,
great
they're,
again, because
as far
we
as I'm
care
concerned,
about
they're no,
putting America first.
they're no better than
and we're all coming together for this
these
movement
people
tonight.
tried to assassinate Trump.
And a real
They're on
credit
that
to
same
the
level.
World Market Center in Las Vegas because it's a newer building, a great convention center, and they've had the concessions. Of course, our men and women in blue on standby, the fire department as well, in case, because it was a hot day. I mean, we're mid-90s, we're in the dog days of summer in the middle of the desert, and it's amazing just to see the resilience of MAGA patriots willing to stand for hours in line. And this whole place, I mean, some people are taking some breaks there. We're waving to fans off to the side there, but literally on the sides here, I wish we could pan out, but we would be in the way of some other cameras, literally standing and have been standing for even more hours, about gosh, going on 12 hours now for some of these patriots who really are just excited to see President Trump.
Yeah, definitely. And we are actually seeing a visual right now as we are live, all three of us, with a third box on RSBN right now. That's what's awesome, of course, as you guys know. We got those vantage points of the crowd and all of the people there. You did say something about the dog days of summer. A quick shout out to Dennis and Sherry, who are watching our Vegas coverage today. They're longtime viewers of Right Side Broadcasting Network. They also wanted us to give them a shout out to show them their puppy. The puppy is named MAGA. So if we can get that photo up, it'll be great to show the dog. The dog actually is wearing a Let's Go Brandon hat. Bobby, I'll text it to you so you can show it to Megan as well. A pretty cool, just overall thing. I mean, it's like Americans for Trump, animals for Trump, everyone for Trump at this point, isn't it right?
And
actually, we might have to compare notes on that, Matthew, because Megan took a picture with the dog in here earlier, so I'll send that over the Slack channel and see if that's the same, because that would be a lot of fun. And it's great to see dogs and cats for Trump, and the fun that's been with the AI-generated images of President Trump saving animals the last few days, because we know that Kamala Harris and her radical agenda would not be good for pet owners, especially because the amount pet food's gone up a crazy amount with this inflation and the cost of living. Really fascinating. I was looking at some marks and numbers. In some cases, over 42% of an inflation rate for dog food and cat food. I mean, how insane is that?
Yes, I think everyone's getting hit with this inflation, and it's getting out of hand. It's getting ridiculous. And I do want to look at that picture again of me and that poodle for Trump earlier. The dog had like American flag, stars and stripes on her wrists and her ankles, and then she had a MAGA hat on. She was loving it. Everyone was getting pictures with her. Cats for Trump, dogs for Trump, ducks for Trump.
That's what's happening.
I mean, check out President Trump's Instagram. Those pictures are priceless.
They are great. They're wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
We sure have.
Send that over to so maybe Bobby could put it on the internal channel here, so we can maybe post that as well. Because while you guys were talking, we actually showed MAGA the dog from Dennis and Sherry, longtime viewers at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So obviously having a little bit of fun here, isn't it something, Bobby? You know, we've talked about, you and I, about comedy, make comedy great again. Even in the midst of this terrible situation we find ourselves in, President Trump, as you know, constantly will bring in comedy regardless, and he's the one that's taking on all of the attacks from the left.
Well, he was sure in full stride yesterday in Tucson, Arizona, with not only the dancing, but also the funny moments and his very subtle jokes. I mean, he's really a stand-up comic mixed with an expert on policy, and that's what you have to do. I mean, you have to go play golf. You have to do life-giving hobbies, you know, go to church, go to the gym, spend time with family and friends, just as President Trump does, because it's a good way to balance your mind as you're taking on what in many cases is an evil force. We talked a lot about spiritual warfare, and the real highlight of these MAGA rallies is when we're talking to people outside, they're talking about the greatness of God. When we're talking to people inside or covering it from the press pool, we have pastors who open up with beautiful prayers, who bless the room, bless President Trump, and that's really an extraordinary extra level that we see on a regular basis. If you have not been to a MAGA rally, you'll initially notice just everyone's love for God and country.
And you can hear right now, of course, the crowd behind you right now, the prayer. The prayer before was quite powerful. It was almost a sermon within a prayer and politics all mixed into one. But it seemed like, guys, the crowd really had a good response to that.
They did. We saw a lot of praying hands up in the crowd, and that was a beautiful sermon/prayer that we heard earlier. And I'd like to point out that this is a spiritual battle going on. You're talking about the spiritual warfare, and we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against principalities and dark rulers of the world. So it really is a spiritual battle going on, but God is going to win in the end. This is what God's will is for America, and Donald Trump is in place to carry out God's will, and we're all praying for him and everyone in the administration.
100%.
Amen. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, exactly. So, Bobby and Megan, let's just throw it back to you guys in Las Vegas. Have fun out there. I know President Trump will be taking the stage, hopefully within the hour in Las Vegas. So for now, I'm Matthew Alvarez here in Auburn, Alabama. Bobby and Megan, have fun. We'll see you a little bit later.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you to the magnificent Matthew Alvarez. Always a joy to dialogue with someone who's so brilliant, a believer in the Bible and the Word himself. It's something that grounds him and his wonderful wife, Jenna. They're expecting their first child soon. So we're, as the RSBN family, celebrating so much with Matthew and Jenna at this wonderful time in their lives. And this is what we just hope to do here at Rightside Broadcasting, is to share the love, share the gospel, and defend the principles that have made America the greatest nation for close to 250 years. We wanted to go for another 250 years and maybe even beyond that, because this is God's nation, and clearly President Trump 2 months ago dodging a would-be assassin's bullet, God has more plans in store for him.
Absolutely, and I think that's more prevalent now than ever, and this is a really tumultuous time to be alive, but an exciting one nonetheless. And I believe that God has all of his people in place to carry out his will for this country, for the preservation of freedom and faith and family and our God-given rights to freedom in America.
See what's going on with it. With Adrian Dittman, who sounds like Elon Musk, who probably is. I think he is 100%.
What the hell? What's he up? What is he on about? This is very odd. What? Huh. I was looking for some stuff here, figuring things out. Yeah, dude, actually taking off on X is really difficult to do. I notice this with growth on many people's accounts. They always ask me, like, what do you want to do? How do you do this? How do you not do this? It's like, problem is, if you're a small account, you can't actually you can't actually be posting a shit ton of stuff because no one's going to see it, unfortunately.
So what's the point?
This is the main issue that I see with starting out on X, is the visibility issue. That's one of the first things you'll notice, is that you cannot see, that people cannot see some of your content.
I'm going to try and request to speak, because I have questions about this. To remember all the things that I'm doing right now.
Whatever else is going on?
Oh yes, 4chan UFO posts are trending again on the timeline.
Going to talk more about spheres. I still remember I was talking about spheres, a lot about spheres. I remember that. Having a spherical discussion. I was posting a lot about it for no reason at all. And then fucking the UFO disclosure stuff happens and people are seeing spheres. I'm like, motherfucker. it's people are going to be thinking I'm some sort of messiah or some shit because I kept posting about spheres for memes for no reason before that. I thought they looked cool. It's hey, this is interesting. I'm making a bunch of spheres. There was this thing that somebody had like a project or some shit, and I kept generating AI images of very nice shiny spheres, and I kind of made a joke about that. It's like, what if I could take these shiny spheres and put them on the blockchain? Doesn't that mean that I can technically put my shiny balls on the blockchain? So that was like the inside joke there, and I decided to kind of roll with that. So
He's called me
yes,
up before,
and then later
too sure
that
it's gonna
same
happen this
month,
time.
the UFO disclosure stuff happens, and people are seeing spheres fly around. I'm like, I swear to you all, I did not see this coming. This has nothing to do with this. I was just posting about spheres because it had something to do with my anatomy. Nothing to do with the spheres that are floating around here. Even though my spheres are also floating, they're shiny and they're round and they're beautiful. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. They're beautiful spheres. I'm gonna put them somewhere. But don't,
Just
yeah,
to give background, this guy, his name is Adrian Dittman, but he sounds obviously just like Elon Musk.
Oh, they want to know where they can find that song. I don't need to run
And-
away. It's by Half Alive, right?
I mean, I'm 1,000% positive that
Beautiful.
it's Elon Musk.
Agent, can you hear me?
And some people have said that he creates
Yeah,
this
I think I'm bugged.
account to get around SEC regulations. That's the accusation, and or to prop up Elon Musk, because everything is related to Elon Musk, related to Tesla, to SpaceX, and everything.
yeah, that's great. Nice little nugget of the UFO community there. I love 4chan. Even if this is made up, it's such great imagination. Like 4chan is an insane site. It's a cracked site. In all seriousness, it's insane, but cool, you know. You know, it would be funny if really nobody really knows about what UFOs are, and everybody's just trying to figure it out. So it's kind of funny. Such, I'm not sure if we're gonna have that. Blaze, did
Yeah, 'cause
your
I was
thing
bugged.
work? Yes.
You can hear me now? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I also let up another person, Mr. Dennis. Actually, no, that's incorrect. It's not Mr. Dennis. Hendrickson. It's like Anderson. It's like when I say it's like in the Matrix with Neo. There's like the agent goes up to you and says, Mr. Anderson. In your case, it will be, what's the name again? Hendrickson. So it's like, Mr. Hendrickson, we've been expecting you.
I like it.
So what's up, dude? Yeah.
How's it going?
That's pretty good. What brings you by today? Haven't been here for a bit.
Yeah, it's been a while. What do you consider a small account?
Anything under at least 1K.
Okay.
Above that goes into somewhat larger, still smallish, and then, you know, exiting out of the small space, something that's large is like 10K, right? That's where it gets impressive. Like if you already get like 10K people to follow whatever it is that you're doing, that's pretty damn impressive, right? Now, if you go past that and you get into something like 20K, okay, there you go.
It just seemed, I guess, a little bit discouraging when you said before.
No, don't be discouraged.
Well, I mean, if you're small and you're posting, then no one's reading it. It's like, well, then what should you do? You know, I guess that's where it's sort of confusing, I suppose.
If you're like, it depends. If you're just a personal user and you're just doing a thing, you can like basically do whatever you want. But if you actually want to grow to the point where you actually want, you know, major presence, then the real thing you can do. Oh, hang on, it's nice to see you interacting with the crowd. Yeah, thank you. The real thing you can do is kind of interact with those who see you, really. Like, say, for instance, with me, I would see a lot of things that you would do. So, like, interacting with me immediately puts more attention onto what you're doing. So, like, for instance, you want to provide value to some sort of niche. That's how you usually grow. You have to do that through posts on the main timeline that are of, like, max value to whatever it is that you want to achieve. Like, say, you're writing about something realistically speaking, you can only make at least like one post a week, or like make a quote post, but it has to be something that's actually insightful, right? Write it as if you had hundreds of thousands of people. That's kind of how you'd have to imagine it. That's the quality you need to have. And on top of that, yeah, so largely the frequency for a smaller account does not need to be that high, unless you reach to the point where like are 17,000, maybe like almost 20,000. You can consider like posting one thing every hour, or like every couple hours. And then once you get to a point where like you see that a lot of people to interact with your stuff, they just basically keep posting like a crackhead, but not too much. You don't want to spam people. Otherwise, you know, people are too oversaturated with what you're putting out, and then nobody cares anymore. So yeah, that's another thing. So realistically, whatever it is that you see as value is the thing you have to have in your profile as main, and effectively probably also pin it to your profile itself, and that will then determine people's impressions, because people will interact and or also follow you, not just for the stuff you drop in replies, but also stuff that you put in main timeline. So say, for instance, you're dropping some value in replies, and you have more or something like that value in your timeline of stuff that you've posted, then there's a higher likelihood that people will follow what you're doing. That's how I used to do it.
Do you think writing articles is really helpful? I've noticed that one in your the main page, that articles tab. Does that get utilized a lot?
Not as much. If you look at something like what I do, I don't actually use articles that much. I tell other people to use articles, because I myself just kind of write everything out that I do as, you know, the timeline that's like a living article. So it's not really that I have one particular thing to write a shit ton about. So yeah, that's really what that's, yeah.
I think what I have noticed though is if you do reply to larger accounts and you do it early, that has a huge effect. At least,
yeah, it's not just early, but it also has to be the value as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Bro, these fucking weird-ass conspiracy posts are getting on my nerves.
If you were born in the 90s or earlier, you have this freckle on your left arm.
I'm sorry, but like, what? I have 2 of them. I ain't born in the 90s, bitch. What's this? Yeah, that's a funny meme. It's a meme about Mongolian throat singing. My grandma singing me a lullaby after smoking for 58 years. I mean, that's kind of true. Mongolian throat singing. I always thought that to be a very interesting thing. I was like, oh, what is Mongolian throat singing? You know, that I heard it, I'm like, wait, it's the shit that I used to do as a child when I was bored. Interesting. It's like you kind of do it with the back of your throat. I've done it well. It's like you have this thing here at the back. It's like far back, and it's like the far back thing, like the. It's difficult for me to do. I'd have to actually practice it for a little bit because I haven't done it in a while. So, but yeah, it's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere. Oh, sorry. Hit me today. Prove it, then disappeared. Oh my god. People are posting sphere stuff in my comments now. Great. Let's talk about if we now see spheres, that's funny. That would be funny. If we saw spheres, that would be funny now. Maximally so. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? This was output 47 minutes ago. Minimal interest, I would say. the Starlink thing, but we posted it anyways for the sake of demonstration. So that is good. That is, in fact, marvelous. That is how it all should be at the end of all days. Yeah. Other stuff is like performed wildly well. The memes, for instance, very good, very good. It's like some of the ex-employees that don't even follow me already replied to that. That's funny. Like who is Miguel Ballar? That's funny. What is this? What is this button? Interesting. Biden admin. Oh wow. Something that's interesting though is in about a month, the journey for Europa Clipper is going to begin.
That's cool.
They're going to look into the to Europa's ice stuff, basically, right? Launch window opens on October 10th, 2 days after the release of our expansion, I imagine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they will scan for stuff, trying to figure out, you know, yeah.
Are they looking for life, or are they looking for just like
Yes, they are.
elements? Okay.
We is looking for life because we's lonely.
Yeah.
We is lonely. It's unfortunate, but it is in fact true. Close clan. That's funny. I still remember that one time where somebody claimed that Biden was, I don't know, was dead or something. Do you remember that? That was an interesting one. It's like perpetuated by one news account. And they bet, we have accurate information. And then somebody else is saying, if you have accurate information, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a bet. You are going to delete your account if I'm right, and I'm going to delete my account if you're right. And those are massive accounts. And the bet was on. Turned out that their source of information was incorrect, and as such, they deleted their account subsequently.
Oh wow.
What is interesting, however, is that account still is technically there, and I suspect that it's going to make a comeback one day, because that's a very great strategy, actually. You see, the thing is, when you delete your account and you bring it back, technically all of the following comes back as well. At least I think so, yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know how it fucking works. Don't ask me. I didn't build a company. I may sound like the guy who owns it, but I'm not the guy who owns it. It's an ironic troll, but yes. No, I don't know how it works code level, but yeah, it just does. I guess it keeps a. You can always undo your deactivation for a certain period of time, and if you undo your activation and you just change your name, none will be the wiser.
Interesting.
Didn't you say before if you make any changes to your profile that can cause your account to
check mark?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, of course. But no, see, here's the thing. If the account is of a certain size, it doesn't actually matter. Not that much. Like if it's recognized and they come back, people would be just posting one thing and it just reaches a huge trend line. It's funny. So here's what you could do, hypothetically. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm not even sure what that's... I'm not even sure if that's allowed in TOS. You'll have to read that up. But hypothetically speaking, it could be possible, hypothetically speaking. Don't fucking do this, but hypothetically speaking, it'd be possible to just wait for a major news event. You have like your deactivated account. Once the news event comes back, if it's a news account, or anything that's relevant to you, if it's a major event that is, relevant to the context of what that account was, you just come back on that day, post the first thing, and no one will be the wiser. Actually, you could even do it differently. You can come back, delete everything, change everything, wait a day, and then do something. You see how it works out? Don't do it. Not sure what that means, but I assume that that's what you could do, hypothetically, because I've seen some things that don't make sense and that are explainable only through this thing.
Sounds too dangerous to me.
Oh yeah, 100%. But people are going to do what they're going to do, right? I'm not responsible for their actions. Because the blah blah blah. What? The user the algorithm should give visibility to the user. The user shouldn't have to be a marketing strategist. Problem is that's exactly what you have to be if you want to do your thing consistently. Right? You have to if you want to say break stuff consistently. I mean, it's like not break stuff. Sorry. If you want to break through certain types of trends consistently, then you have to be that. That's the only way that works. This is not up for discussion. It's a good thing. It's a good barrier to entry for skill. Now, technically speaking, oh boy, there's so much information that's going on in my head. If I told you all this, oh my god. Anyways, no, so the problem is, if you were just to be like, say, a citizen journalist, and you cover a particular niche, and you don't do anything except for cover that niche, what you'll get is always get coverage for that thing if it breaks once. Are they just going to repeat the cycle until they have drained the accounts? I mean, there's not really draining an account. Like, how do you drain an account? That's not how it works. How do you drain the wise? I don't know. What is this? Oh my god, isn't it beautiful? Oh yeah, yes it is. What is this? This is funny. I'm just looking through comments. Very good. I do like being a slave to my phone. I do art all day and eat food. Well, that's the thing. You're not going to really be a slave to your phone, but you will be a subject of data. You'll be subject to the understanding of data at scale. And if you can't figure that out, then you can't figure it out. And it's complicated. That's why other people have to kind of manage with it. So there's two types of people that exist. Actually, three types. Ones that just fuck around and they just get fame that way. Like, you look at the Haktua thing, whatever the fuck that is, and the Tiffany Gomez plain lady freak out bullshit, whatever that is. That then is, they don't need to study for anything. It's not like they would understand what they're doing anyways. Unless they had a PR team, which is how they effectively do marketing, but most of them don't. There's another thing. Then there are the users that try to analyze how things are working and how to better work with things to kind of serve the users better. That's what I do. Then there are individuals who like to force the user to behave a certain way. Now, those are the engagement farmers. They'd be like, you have to do things a certain way, but the way that they tell you to do things kind of damages you. Like the people who say, you got to reply to like 800 people a day. It's like, no, absolutely the fuck you don't. You reply to like fucking 800 people a day. I like, nah, man. maybe that growth strategy is like worked for you, but it kind of feels like a Ponzi scheme. If that makes any sense. Ponzi scheme.
Krausensteins do that.
Anyone? I'm not sure if they do that. If they did so, they're very fucking unsuccessful at that. Because they keep complaining about their reach being down and them not getting enough advertising revenue. So tell me what that's all about. Okay. Anyone here use any brain enhancement supplements? Nope. Other than good old coffee, no. Huh? The fuck? What? This has nothing to do with fucking. This has nothing to do with taxation, but okay. What? Oh shit. What else? Protein from those steaks is a brain enhancement supplement, apparently. Not really, but yeah. And what else? What do you take? Wait, well, what the hell's... Well, okay, wait, hang on. That's actually reply. Reply. I don't take anything. I I eat healthy food and make sure not to eat any sugar. I'm actually avoiding one thing, and that is sugar, as much as humanly possible, because that shit's not good for you. Christopher Payne. Oh, that's a fun name. Let's see, what else do we have here? Lately I've been seeing the streets of Austin emptying of immigrants. I hope this brings safety and freedom to the X team at Elon. Although Bastrop has many attractions, Austin would be perfect precursor for a very large X with universities and big festivals. Past technically true, but Bastrop is where SpaceX is. So that's what I'll say. Oh, that's the yeah. Let's see what else we have. Brazil, expert extortionist brother. Jesus Christ. Anyways, what else do we have here? How much water do you drink per day? It's actually a good question. I don't entirely know. I drink like at least depends on how hot it is. Anywhere between 2 to 3 liters, sometimes more.
Start from the beginning here.
Like just now, I just drank some. So yeah. How do you prefer your coffee? Do you have restrictions on how much you consume? Experience on mushroom coffee? What the fuck is mushroom coffee? What? Excuse me? Mushroom coffee? What the fuck is mushroom coffee? Like, what does that mean?
Psychedelics, yeah.
Hell no. Let's take a look here. That's wild. Interesting. Medicinal mushroom. Interesting. It's actual mushrooms.
Oh wow. Thought it was like drugs.
Often made of chaga, turkey tail, lion's mane, reishi, and cordyceps. You fucking take cordyceps? That's wicked, man. That's the shit that controls the ant's brains when it grows. You know, the one that like sits on the top of the ant brain and then it kind of just grows out of it and then compels the ant to climb up a stalk, bite said stalk, and die.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is funny because I still remember I was like watching someone's show, this guy Nick Fuentes, and bro was like having a freak out about the coffee preferences. He was getting a donation on stream, and he was like having a freak out. I was like, why would you want to know what coffee I drank? Like seriously, why would you know? And then somebody sent him like $100 and be like, okay, here's what coffee I drink. I'm like, bro. That's funny. Psilocybin infused coffee. I don't know if that's a particularly good idea to do just before you head on the road, I guess. But, you know, I guess, you know, as our friend was saying, you know, I guess what our friend was saying, where we're going, there are no roads. So I guess if you know, you're as high as a fucking kite when you're driving the car, it's not a good idea. So I don't know. Mushroom coffee for breakfast? I don't know, man. I don't know if you're starting to get, I don't know, some sort of hallucinogenic effects, you know. You're drinking mushroom coffee right now. Are you feeling, is the ground still solid or is it liquid?
Yeah,
or is it both? Tell me. Cordyceps coffee is legit. That's wild. Mushroom coffee is good stuff. Balances gut and clears brain fog. Never had either, but damn. Throw it in a bean grinder. It fights cancer. That's shishega mushroom. Very interesting stuff. I need some more like details on that. Not sure if like it's a good idea for a human body to like regularly consume this, but it sounds interesting. It also has magnesium. Yeah, that shit's actually good for you. Yeah. It's funny, I can actually read this chat like as if it was an actual just live stream chat, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, just sort the replies.
Yep. Mythic Seraphim of the Forest. That's nice. It's a nice name. Cool screen name. Teas are my favorite historic way to consume herbs. Yerba mate is a favorite. Good energy, has a lot of nutrients. Interesting. I didn't know any of that. It's like, I'm a very simple person. I don't... That's wild, though. That's actually wild. Fascinating.
I want to try some now, yeah.
Mushroom coffee. Psychotic mushrooms. It's psychedelic, not psychotic mushrooms.
The same outcome, though.
Bro, the mushrooms are literally whack, dude. Psychotic mushrooms. I never heard of psychotic mushrooms before. Are they in the room with you?
Let's see what Grok says. Psychotic.
Are the psychotic mushrooms in the room with you? Or are you in the room with them? I don't know.
I'm trying to get Grok to generate psychotic mushrooms now.
Yeah. That's wild. Supported by Lex Friedman. Okay, I guess.
Dude, psychotic mushrooms are fucking wild, dude.
Is it animated flesh beings?
Oh, but they have like underglow like a fucking car. It's kind of weird.
That's funny.
So you're telling me that the mushrooms are the people?
Oh my god, what the fuck kind of image is that? Dude, guys, check this out. I'm pinning it to this base. What the fuck? Yeah, I pinned it to the top. What the hell is this?
Oh wow, look at that.
That is wild, dude. Thank you, but damn, dude.
That's a good one.
That's cracked. By the way, did you all see my post that I made about the information misdirection? I got a new thing. I like to call it the three-quarter truth. It's an effective trick in information misdirection. What it's about is like the information that's provided is mostly true except for one part, which is false. And this false part acts as an attack vector for debunking and dismissing the actual truth itself. So this is like the 1/4 of that truth is in fact a lie. So say, for instance, I were to say a certain thing, and I'd make up only a small amount of it, then you're technically believing the truth, and it is technically a truth, but it can debunk it, kind of, without elaborating. That's how you beat truth, by not beating it. In this sense, that's what legacy media always does, and various other debaters, right? They like make up a shit ton of stuff, introduce a false thing, you end up accidentally believing the false thing, and then you put yourself into a cage. That's the twisting of words thing that you usually get. It's just misdirection. So I've explained both the practice of obfuscation and the practice of misdirection in one sentence. I'm the Sotsu, the X algorithm, huh?
According to some, yes.
Yeah. What's this? Oh, who else? Nice. I heard you can make coffee using roasted date seeds. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure that's possible, but if it is, I don't know. I just want to thank my mom, my dad, Jesus, and Nicolas Cage. That's funny. That's hilarious. Nice. Good stuff. Oh, to thank my mom, to God, wow, that's great. Sees a guy perform. That's a nice reply. Sees a guy perform straight up sorcery. Betrays him. Was Judas retarded? Even on the off chance he wasn't the son of God, you're still messing with some high level wizard? That's a good one. Add me from Street. The guy's name is Streetworm TV. That's hilarious. Nice screen name. That's wild screen name, but yes. Good one. Very nice. Oh my god, dude. My friend Spider-Man, he only swing around in New York because he's Spider-Man and he only does what a spider can. What else? What else do we have here? I just like enjoying the comments here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how the government takes what they want to do. What? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that I am the government?
Just kidding. Definitely not. I'm definitely not the government. If I was the government, it would be here. I mean, why would the government be here? You only see them at the end of the week when you get your paycheck. I'm sorry. sorry. Bad jokes. They are, however, going to hire, I think, what is it, 8,000 IRS agents? Okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
God damn. Imagine a country that was like founded on the idea of saying fuck you to taxes, employs a shit ton of people to vet taxes. How about that?
Wild.
Peak irony has been achieved externally.
Yeah.
Why do you need a co-host when you never bring up any speakers? Because he's my co-host. And he finds things. Also, Dennis here is a speaker, so.
I'll try to speak more.
And I have a conversation. That's all good. I have a conversation with whoever's on the stage. Because, you know, I gotta know people first. I'll judge based off your comments. I wish X had an option to subscribe to an individual in a 1-year lump payment rather than a $3.99 monthly scoop. I agree. 11 here? God damn. But the Judas meme is funny. That was great. Even on the off chance that he wasn't the son of God, you're fucking with a wizard, basically. That's cracked. Hey, if fruits and sugar are bad, why do figs taste like heaven? I don't know. That's like asking if crack is so bad, why does it feel good? Same logic. But bad logic, bad example, I know, but it's graphic, you get it. Now, however, figs are actually not so bad, and they're non-processed. The fructose is not so bad. It's actually kind of okay, as long as you eat the actual fruit itself, plus all the good stuff that comes with it. Like if you just eat a fig like that, that's pretty damn good for you. There's a lot of good stuff in that. Granted, of course, it's the kind of figs that are organically farmed, because if they're not, oh boy, you're going to deal with a lot of bad things, man. How could they legally do this? Legally do what? I don't know. It's not legal. It's illegal. But you're gonna tell Alexander de Moraes that this shit's illegal? Wait, hasn't the international community done so? Yes. Does he care? Nope, he doesn't give a shit about anything. So there you go. He literally was criticized for doing illegal things and then took action to remove that criticism. He didn't even try to hide the fact that what he did was illegal. He just had a problem with the criticism. That's the origin story of why he has been going against people on X and other platforms, ordering said platforms to remove various individuals from them. Brilliant. Anyways, have you ever seen the miniseries V from 1984? Nope, I do not. I don't think so, no. I don't know a lot of people that are fat from eating fruit. Yes, because it's actually very difficult to get fat from eating fruit, and here's why. Like, imagine for a second you're eating a bunch of apples. If I eat a bunch of apples, right, there's a bunch of stuff that comes with it that makes you full. A lot of the fibers, a lot of everything else, the substance of which the apples are made. If I eat an entire basket of apples, dude, I'm taken out of commission. I'm doing nothing. There's no way that I'm doing anything else. I have been taken out of commission and nothing works. Like, it's finished. However, if I were to say, take those apples, put them in a blender, and extract the juice from it, then some very interesting things begin to happen. Now I can eat 10 apples or more, effectively consume what is the juice from 10 apples and drink it constantly. So I can actually eat what is almost, let's say, 5 baskets of apples, and it would just be a couple glasses. It's not much, right? That's a problem. Now let's take this a little further. Imagine for a second now what else this does. Now, the fibers within an apple, it's actually interesting how fiber works in the body. Fiber actually technically blocks out some of the sugars that are being absorbed. So it hinders the absorption process for sugars, right? That's what the fibers do. That's why people tell you to eat a shit ton of fibers, but that's also what is naturally contained in fruit. So there's an interesting caveat here. So technically speaking, calorie counting is kind of bullshit, because part of the calories that are being counted are actually the fibers, which doesn't make any sense because the body cannot process fibers because you're not a ruminant. You cannot process fibers. Fibers are cellulose. Now, ruminants can in fact process cellulose. You cannot. You're not a ruminant. You're a fucking mammal. There are, however, some exceptions to this. One of those exceptions is like the silverback gorilla. He has like a micro gut biome that is able to break down the cellulose. You don't have that. No human has that. Maybe there's an exception out there somewhere, but you're like fucking not even human at this point if you can somehow withstand that. But no human has that, right? So you can't actually process this, but it's still counted as calories. And here's the fun trick. Here's the mind game. You can actually say that there are less calories within apple juice because you've removed some of the stuff that could be counted as extra calories, but the amount of stuff that you actually now absorb, because the thing that hinders the absorption has been removed, is actually higher. So technically speaking, it's actually worse than eating the thing that would appear worse visually by a bullshit statistic. Isn't that funny? This is why health doesn't work in this sense. This is the bullshit people say. Right? Because like this is the complexity. It's like a mind game. You know, it's the same as saying you'll get diabetes from eating steak. I'm sorry. What? What? First of all, aside from the fact that it logically doesn't make any sense, because what the fuck, the justifications for why it supposedly is supposed to make sense is even dumber still. And then, of course, you know, there's this thing, oh, but you're going to get cancers from eating meat, blah, 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 blah. The idea of getting cancers from eating red meat came from a speculation. It was never real. There was speculation. This speculation was voiced via the WHO website. I still remember reading this. There was just a small thing there that said there could be, like there's a chance that it could lead to cancer, but this is not proven. That's just speculation. So it even stated themselves that it was practically bullshit. Right? But they try to convince you otherwise. This is the world we live in. Kind of funny.
Yeah, what about processed meat?
Define processed meat. Which one?
Meat that you would get from the deli counter.
Anything's from the deli counter. How's it processed? To what?
Cold cuts, those types of things, like pepperoni, that kind of stuff. That's.
Oh no, absolutely not. No.
No.
Nobody knows what the fuck's in that.
Because I had colorectal
like those luncheon
cancer,
things.
and that's all I've heard is that, oh well, you can't eat meat because that's what causes it. And I never really believed that, but now that you've said that,
that's straight bullshit.
Yeah.
What really causes it is consuming all this weird dietary garbage. Like, say, for instance, Diet Coke. What is Diet Coke? That thing is basically cancer juice. It contains saccharin, or known as ASK, which is a cancer-causing compound. This is a known thing, along with other things that are also within this one can that also cause cancer. The whole package is made up of several compounds, and each one of those can cause cancer in their own ways. Now, the problem is, how is that calculated? It's calculated by serving, and it's calculated by percentages of daily intake value. So when you look at the back of the pack, it says percentage of daily intake value. That's like how much you're supposed to take of the stuff in a day. If you go above that, it's going to be an issue. The problem is, if you drink like one can, that basically fits. You can't drink more than that. Drinking like basically more than that already puts you above the daily intake value. Into more exposure than you should, right? And here's where it gets better. The funny thing about this is their other cancer-causing compounds are not collectively considered. I haven't seen any documentation of this. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I've tried my darndest to find documentation of collective examination, because sure, each and every single one of these compounds has a daily intake value assigned to them. But what if you took all of these compounds and put them together? Does that daily intake value collectively exceed the one that's actually been placed there? I'm willing to bet you that that's the case. Because is it really counted as a sum? And you don't even have to technically count it as a sum because they're all technically separate things, but what happens as a sum? That's not tested. That's the problem. So now people drink a shit ton of garbage like Diet Coke, not understanding what the individual compounds collectively do. Sure, you could say they're percentages of daily intake value, not to the point that you exceed it. But what about all the other compounds? What happens if you put them all together? Does that mean that technically speaking you exceed the intake value? Because if you do, then you're fucked, even with one can. This is what nobody thinks about. Cancer rates are on the fucking rise, dude. They're like the stock market that's crashing, but upside down. And nobody asks why.
It's crazy.
Then if you actually did the math as to the compounds that are inside of your fucking food, then your brain's gonna go, because holy fucking shit. And it's in everything. Then you have other stuff that feeds it. You have like your processed fucking sugars. So here's the thing. You have one compound that causes the cancer, which is the weird garbage Diet Coke that you drink. And what are the chances that you're drinking Diet Coke so that you can eat something else? Because they think you're dieting. So you eat a naughty thing that has sugar in it. And here's where the trick is. You eat a bunch of compounds that are potentially cancer causing. If now cancer has been caused, you're now feeding that cancer with the sugar that you consume.
Isn't that fucking interesting?
This is public knowledge. This is fucking written literally everywhere. It's written on the back of all of your fucking food packs. Problem is, there are so many ingredients in all the garbage that you consume that basically looks like the 10 fucking commandments. Sorry, 10 commandments, not fucking commandments, 10 commandments. Anyways. How are you going to read that? How are you going to read that? You know, what are you going to do? Like stand in the shop, read this. And then once you have this, are you going to like put it down, go somewhere else? Or are you going to do what you always done? Be used to it, get it, and keep using the garbage. This is what people need to consider.
All those cookies, I should give them up, but I'm just used to them. Put the fucking garbage down, throw it in the trash, and don't even buy it, so don't have to waste your money by throwing this garbage in the trash.
Okay? Same thing. Okay, so cheat meals are, because everybody said, oh, I just had a cheat meal. Fuck. No, some cheat meals are okay. Just depends on what they're made of. Right? I'm not saying like consistently eating this kind of shit, right? There's like this meme in Silicon Valley, not even Silicon Valley, but SF, San Francisco, where people say, oh, I'm a startup
founder. I've entered founder mode. I'm gonna drink a shit ton of Diet Coke now and sit in front of the computer and get like zero fucking sunshine. But I'm gonna take vitamin D supplements to alleviate that. Fuck you.
Do you not understand the concept of what a supplement is? It's called supplementation, which means you added on to the thing that you're already getting. And given the fact that you're getting none of the sunshine that gives you melanin, the vitamin D, given that you're getting none of that, you're just supplementing. You're always at a deficit. It's not fucking cutting it. That's what supplements are for. Anyways, and the same applies to literally everything else. Supplements means I'm already eating what I'm supposed to eat. It's not technically enough from the things that I need, so I'm going to add something on top of that. That's what supplements are for. So if you're getting none of that already from any source and it's just from the supplements, you're not fucking making any sense. That's what people don't get about supplements, why they're not effective. Even when you take like fucking vitamin B12 supplements and be like, oh yeah, they're super effective, everything's working. No. Eat some fucking eggs. Have you had any fucking eggs lately? When was the last time anyone had any fucking eggs? Because those contain a lot of the stuff that you need, that supplements are supposed to kind of add to. But if you're not adding to anything, you're always below baseline of what you actually need. So you're deficient constantly. When is the last time anyone has eaten any eggs? Does anyone know? Like, who has eaten eggs? Blythe, have you eaten eggs?
I had some today, actually.
Very good. Good job. Dennis, you also had some eggs?
I'll tell you, yeah, as much as I possibly can. One of the things I saw when I was getting chemo is how many people would walk into the doctor's office carrying a Mountain Dew, getting ready for chemo. And
oh my God.
And just go. And then the snacks that they give you. You know, those peanut butter crackers and all this trash, and Cokes and everything. And I'm like, you know, isn't this probably the wrong thing to have when people are going through what they're going through? And the thing I did immediately was cut out sugar right away. Everything, because you're right, it fuels the cancer. And I think by doing that and changing the diet was what helped me. But Yeah, eggs definitely. That's one of the things I read about. You're absolutely right. They're important.
Yeah, exactly. So, gotta eat eggs. I highly recommend people eat eggs. And also on top of that, it's a very cheap source of protein. It's like a very good source of protein. It's amazing. You get all the things that are coming with it. Surely you also have to be careful what who's producing them. Well, not who's producing them, but what they feed the machine that produces them, which is the fucking chickens, or just the chickens, not fucking chickens. Sorry, I have to cut out my swears. Yeah. So, yeah. So the the eggs themselves, you'd have to like get free range and make sure to always buy from local farmers, right? You go into the store, make sure to buy from local farmers. Always look for if it is local farmers. Always buy from them as much as you can. Butter, everything, butter, bread, free range eggs, all of the shebang. Like if you want to shell out on something, that's the way to go. Fucking cancel your Netflix subscription. Cancel this, cancel that. Cancel your garbage magazine. You're not going to read that garbage anyways. It's a bunch of paper that nobody needs for anything other than an expensive fire. It's useless. Cancel that shit. Buy eggs. Buy eggs instead. Buy free range eggs that support your local farmers. There you go. Fuck Netflix. Fuck your Vanity Fair subscription to magazine that you're not going to use. It's bullshit anyways. It gives you an unrealistic expectation of reality. Buy eggs. Eat eggs. Work out. Life good. Great. So yeah, eggs, right? People need to eat eggs. That's one thing that is missing from nutrition, because that's the supplementation doesn't actually work right. And then somebody was saying just in their comments, yeah, a lot of the supplements are actually destroyed by the stomach acids, and that is true. That's a fucking interesting situation, right? So on top of the fact that you're also not really getting much of the supplementation of what it's supposed to do, which is supplement, because you're not actually having anything that you're consuming already that can be supplemented with. The supplements themselves are also not effectively processed. So you're always operating at a baseline deficiency. This is why everybody is sick. You ever like wonder how everybody's like sick for some reason? You don't actually feel 100%. You feel like your body is weak in some areas, you know? That's why.
I have not gotten a COVID vaccine, and I have never gotten COVID, even once.
Nice. Same here. Never taken one jab. I had all of the variants though. All of them. They were entertaining to say the least. Some of them have a few side effects, but they heal away in like 2 weeks. The last variant that I was infected by fucked with my appetite and with my libido. It's a very annoying situation. Fucked with my sleeping, my needs of sleep as well. I would wake up extremely early, or want to go to sleep at unreasonable times, stuff like that. But that was basically it. And you know what's interesting about that? That's the same fucking shit that I got when I had the flu, when I was a kid. So you make of that what you will. Oh, and also if you went to the UN and they looked at the statistics for the flu, for some reason, during the period where COVID spiked, the flu was down. Where did the flu go? Next year, after COVID gone, flu season comes around again, same spike. Spike is there. Why is it back now? Anyways, I digress. You did whatever you want. This is all public research. This is all public data. You can look at it. Everyone's showing you everything. You just have to go out there and look. Even with statistics, if you look at the research data and how it's obtained, that's the thing that you're supposed to look at. The information is always out there. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I've always lived by that. I've always had to search up everything myself because nobody told me how to do it. So, by nature.
Well, most people just simply don't do research. It's obviously always easier to let people who you don't know or understand the motivations of perform those rituals for you, because It's not important that you understand things from first-hand anecdotes, as long as someone will inform you.
Clymo says, Adrian, would you or anyone like to guess what a monthly subscription to the Boston Globe costs? No, what does it cost? I don't know. I've never done that. Ah, delicious. How's that over? Yeah. I know what that means. I just said it because one of my friends said it once.
How about this Triple E thing that's going on up north with the mosquitoes? Have you read about that?
Oh, yeah. Supposed to release the mosquitoes. Oh shit, the mosquitoes are infected. Oh boy.
It's about the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes have happened. Oh boy.
Whoa, holy shit. Boston Globe subscription. Monthly. $144.80. That's wild.
Seems worth it.
That's crazy.
That can't be right.
How are you fucking subscribed to this bullshit? I would cancel that instantly. You can get all this fucking shit for free on here.
You feel like we've long passed the phase where information of every kind should just be free. At least of that variety, you know.
But you can fund sources from which the free information is from on your own accord, which I think is important. Or look at the space, for instance, right? So you guys could potentially help out in the funding of my activities by way of subscribing to me. So you have that little thing up there that says, you know, subscribe. If you haven't done it already, click that, sends me like $1, or at least a fraction thereof. So that's how you can support the free spread of information, much like what you are seeing right now. Winshore asks, how exactly did 20,000 Haitians end up in Ohio and why? Good questions. I don't know. Wow.
I mean, shouldn't access to news and information just be kind of a human right?
Yes.
I mean, if it's not, it just feels dangerous to me.
Yeah.
But then you have to wonder, does that also mean that freedom from propaganda is a human right?
It should definitely be, but like, look at the definition of what propaganda actually constitutes, right? I think to an extent you could say everything is propaganda, technically speaking, but I think maybe there should be a classification to what information is technically true, but then you run the risk of a truth being censored because it's not convenient, under the argument of it could not be true, because a source that is, quote, reliable says so. So, at this point, I'd say there should not be a freedom of propaganda, because there can't be. There should be a freedom of information and its flow, so that propaganda itself can be debunked by truth. That is also why censorship is used everywhere, because if you wanted to effectively propagandize people's understandings of the world, you would do so by censoring the thing that actually adjusts the propaganda towards the truth, adding the 3/4 of the information that's needed and removing the little 1/4 that is not, and actually having the real truth out there.
How would you feel if there was, say, some news source that was verifiably wrong, but people continued to support it regardless of that fact, and maybe even reveled in that fact and continued to support it economically? Would that violate some kind of basic human principle?
It would violate basic human principle from the perspective of deception, but that falls onto the creators of the deception, not the individuals who fall into it and continue to support it. They are simply individuals who themselves do not have the strength of character to rise past someone else's lies that they've internalized as truth. So it's on them, right? So long as there are people who are reasonable, and that the majority of people who are reasonable are the ones who can economically keep things in check, then all things, in fact, do well. This is how you counter propaganda, because at some point, the propaganda itself is just, again, minimized. Look at, for instance, there's a prevalent group right now. Say, for instance, there's a prevalent group right now that is called the Tesla Q. They are still around, and they're going to be around for quite a while, but they are at an all-time low in terms of reach, because they're absolutely fucking stupid and have lied more times than they've actually been correct. This is how there's a correction. There are people who still believe these idiots, but there are very few, so it fixes itself. I think it does violate things, but not from the human consuming it, but from those who perpetuate its deception knowingly. Oh, God. There is dead silence. What is on thy mind?
I'm thinking about if it's better to allow people to decide things for themselves, even if they don't necessarily have the best sources of information available to them.
The problem is, if you cannot at all impact that by force, because if you do, one day this will be turned on you, because the pendulum swings both ways. This is the problem. We need more censorship. We need to limit the access for information. No, if we do that, then one day that will be turned on whatever side perpetrated it in the beginning.
It's just complicated. I think the issue of censorship is actually maybe more complicated than we give it credit for. Because, many people will simply default to free speech good, that's it. I don't think it's exactly that simple.
It absolutely
I wouldn't say that's...
it is that simple. It has to be.
Well,
If
why
a
do you
particular...
Can you explain, like...
Okay.
Can you explain, like, a purely rational reason why free speech should always be allowed? If for instance, there is some speech which causes verifiable harm, and it doesn't improve anyone's life in any dignifiable way if it's spread, this is more hypothetical, but if you can suppose that there is some information which is a net drain on society, what do we actually gain from communicating it?
Ironically enough, you'll gain a lot. The problem is it's the mass. There will always be bullshit information. There will always be a war of attrition around information. The point is, at some point, people will realize this is what reality is, and then reality will be communicated more than the lie, and this is how it always goes. It is annoying. I grant,
who gets to make that decision?
Yeah, that's really the problem, the main issue. Like, who gets to decide what's right or wrong? What is the truth or what is the lie? So it can be anything.
Well, let's say there was, the most basic form of censorship is just like things that people, if they know, they can come into harm. For instance, if they knew something about some kind of secret government operation, assuming the government operation is ethical, protecting people's rights in some way throughout the world or whatever. Obviously, if they know things about that, they can be subject to torture by whatever the theoretical enemy is here. That's the most basic form of censorship. Beyond that, you get into more ethical concerns like, do I want other people knowing every detail of my life? Probably not.
But that censorship falls on you. You can say, I don't want certain information about my being out there, lest, of course, there's a certain level of interest to it, and that's like self-censorship, effectively.
Suppose that someone else had information about your life, and they just wanted to tell people about it. And, this may have been someone you trusted previously. And now they're just going to tell everyone every detail if you want. You see, I'm just trying to illustrate that there is a level which we prefer not to communicate certain things. And this is not necessarily a hard line in the sand.
Well, then you have consequence around that. If somebody wants to try and destroy your life, then you can destroy theirs legally. That's how it works. And then there's also moderation. There's an element of moderation that comes into play around things that are censored. Say, for instance, on here, if you intentionally aim to perpetrate violence or to cause mass harassment, then if something like that begins to occur, action is then taken to remove the individual or group causing this from the system. So that is a level of censorship that I think makes sense, but even therein is a slippery slope.
Right. I think it's my general position would be that anything that is a moral gray area should always be left open. Like, if you can make an argument for anything, like I don't think it's good to let people just say I'm gonna kill minorities or whatever. Like, obviously this is not a great thing that you need to be saying. If you want to say that, then I don't know why anyone else would take anything that you have to say seriously at that point. So I feel like I would be comfortable putting a hard line in the sand in something like that. Like, no, you don't need to say that. There's no reason to say that.
But then someone can come back and they can argue that. So that's the whole point of free speech.
I know you're going to get like
somebody else can say, no, I disagree with that. But to silence someone who says that, doesn't make any sense.
I know you will want to get into hypotheticals like if someone
so long as it's not illegal, then it's fine. And then also one should watch for laws and prevent certain laws from being passed that could be draconian. And there are definitions for what that means and the application thereof. Well, what just happened? This is an entertaining sound.
Yeah, sure.
That was kind of funny. Run away from here. What?
Here's another kind of meta-philosophical point. There's really nothing protecting free speech, if you think about it, except people who advocate for it. We could lose it.
That's right.
Well, that's what's happening now. People are trying to take it away.
But taking away free speech would be advocating for a different kind of speech. It would be an ideological position. And perhaps if one were to analyze this through the lens of long-term cause and effect, perhaps every ideology eventually chooses to subjugate free speech in some way. Because what is mind control? Mind control is first-hand free speech, or the taking away of it from oneself.
Interesting. That's on my PC. So I'm doing some bio research. Interesting. I like this. I like this sound that's happening in the background right now. It sounds like me a day ago. You know, in the car.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it goes. That's how it is. Constitutional
simply opening a bag of
democracy recognizes the voice of the majority. Yeah, that's true. And that's also what the US is. The US is not a democracy, it is a constitutional republic. Which is ironic, it's like, a danger to our democracy. What democracy? What are you talking about?
I get sick and tired every time I hear that.
It's just gaslighting. God, these conspiracy theorists piss me the fuck off. What a trip is launching, doing it. Yeah. And then they say, oh my god, it pierced through the bubble. I'm like, what fucking bubble? You still believe the earth is flat. You're the 1/4 to the 3/4 truth. You're not the contributor here.
What does that mean? 1/4 to 3/4 truth.
3/4. Imagine that 3/4 of something is the truth, and then 1/4 is a lie. If 1/4 is a lie, and you ingest the truth, you can in fact use the truth as a weapon to perpetuate a lie, and use the lie as an attack vector to nullify the value of the truth, because the truth has parts lie. It's gaslighting, but better.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I'll listen to people talk, and they'll weave in like good points along with like their worst points, and like I try to interrupt them, but then they'll like go back to the old points, and I'm like, no, your current point is wrong. Please stop changing the subject when it's convenient to you. pretty common experience on this platform, honestly.
What is
people like? I argue with someone about one thing, and even maybe I'll even post pretty verifiable proof that they're wrong or whatever. But then they'll say, "Oh, but what about this other thing?" And I'm like,
"What about this in a nutshell?" Yeah. As opposed to addressing the actual fact itself, they try to come up with another thing to effectively bypass the thing that you were talking about. Which is kind of funny because people try to do this to me all the time. I'm like, no, we're finishing the existing point. Remember we had like a couple days ago when Destiny was here, and after he left, we had a bit of a meltdown in the space where some person was trying to make up bullshit. Remember how I took that apart? I made him walk into his own trap and then focused on exactly the topic that we agreed upon, because I said, okay, can we talk about this one thing over here? Okay, good. We start talking about this thing, but then he tries to deviate, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go right back where we came from. Okay? We're going to do the thing with, Kermit in the bayou, the racism meme. Hey, where's the town? Right back where you came. That one. So it's like that, but with arguments. It's a terrible example, I grant, but it's an example you'll remember.
Great meme.
Destiny, the fast talker dude?
Yes, sir.
There's a clip of him on my page if you're interested. It was pretty funny, pretty entertaining.
I missed that. What was it about the Destiny conversation?
There's a lot of different things, mostly political. Commenting on Kamala versus Trump debate.
Yeah, he just like somehow some of his followers said, "Hey man, there's an interesting space that's going on right now. You may want to look at it." And then they sent it over, and then bro showed up.
He went full sarcasm mode at the end. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Somebody tried to troll him, and it was so funny. Like somebody tried to troll him with some bullshit. Then he trolled back harder. Oh god.
I always had bad vibes reading comments like in response to like anything he does on Twitter. It seems like a lot of people focus too much on like what they think of him.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the reason why it sells. I mean, you can also base all your knowledge off the news, but then you're just a boomer and you're more effectively able to regurgitate it, then it's like a totally different thing, right? So in this case, he's an expert at regurgitating it to the extent that it's actually effective and utilizing it more like as if he was an AI effectively, right? That's the problem. And so doing this kind of comes with personality more than it does with actual facts, because the actual facts you can do yourself. I can literally do what he's doing, but it's not going to be nearly as effective, even probably a little bit more so, because I can easily just blend it with a bunch of other stuff. But the problem is it's actually more about the personality itself. You're going to talk about this guy, you don't refer to the fact that he stated certain things, you refer to the fact that he did things that are intrinsic to his personality. One of these things, of course, being that he does really fucked up jokes in a sarcastic manner and sometimes reacts in ways that are really weird, right? So he's like an AI effectively, but as a human. That's really the point. So more people will focus on the personality aspect of things because that is mainly the thing that gives, him an audience, because they just want to see how Ro reacts to certain types of information. The information is always out there, but it's the reaction that counts.
So you're basically saying like he spends too much time focusing on like things.
No, he focuses on one side of the argument. Yeah, he focuses on one side of the argument and really, really embraces that. It's like it's fairly left-leaning. He does not like conservatives at all. He makes it explicitly clear. Explicitly clarifies that constantly. So that's kind of like what that is. And so that comes also then blending that with personality. So yeah.
I see people constantly like harassing him, calling him a beta in the comments. I'm like, really? Is this the best you got?
Yep. Yep, that's part of it, you know.
I mean, I'm not trying to exonerate him or anything. I'm just saying, yeah, it's probably frustrating. I have not streamed because I don't really know how to fully engage with that part of my audience yet. But I imagine that it gets frustrating when you have such a large base, and you know there's so much chaos in that. Constantly having to shuffle between people who are your haters and people who are on your side, and you know.
He said to his own base that if one of his followers were killed at a Trump rally, like what happened during the Trump rally, that he would laugh at him. That's the type of person he is. And then tried to say that it was a joke.
Because it is, right? So with that comes consequence, because that shit's going to come back to you in that way too, you know? So, though arguably, the jokes made are beta in nature, ironically enough, and the people who say just call them a beta, it's kind of a response to what has already been done, right? So nothing comes from nothing. It's kind of a thing, right? So something always something always comes before. In this case, what came before is him making jokes about effectively everyone. It's no limitation.
Yeah, because he's not really totally down with the extreme left wing either, right? So he also makes fun of them.
No,
I think he's there.
He's more right wing.
Like, he calls himself pretty moderately left, I think, and he does also criticize. I'm positive of this, that he does also criticize the more extreme left, who will pardon literally any action, you know, done by any minority or whatever.
Haven't seen that, but I would like to see it. God, this Kira account is just every fucking midwit thrown into a blender. It's so stupid. It's like the peak of the bottom. What the fuck?